Imagine walking up to the gates of heaven, expecting to be welcomed with open arms, only to be denied entry. This isn't a scene from a scary movie. It's a story that challenges the very idea of what it means to be a good person. The story is about a pope named Julius, who thinks he deserves to enter heaven, but Saint Peter, the gatekeeper, has a different opinion. This story, written by a man named Erasmus, shook the world and made people question the power and morality of the church. Erasmus, a smart and witty man, lived in a time when the church was very powerful. Popes were like kings, and they often did things that weren't very nice. Julius, one of these popes, was known for his wars, his love of money, and his bad behavior. But he thought he was special because he was the pope. He believed that his title made him better than everyone else, even if he didn't act like a good Christian. One day Julius died and found himself at the gates of heaven. He was surprised to see Saint Peter there, the same Peter who was one of Jesus' closest friends and the first pope. Julius was confident that Peter would let him in, but Peter had a different idea. He looked at Julius and saw a man covered in scars from his sins, smelling of wine, and wearing armor under his priestly clothes. To Peter, Julius was a man who had come back from hell, not heaven. Peter asked Julius what he had done for Christianity. Julius said he had done more than any other pope. He had raised a lot of money, created new jobs, and sold them to anyone who could pay. He had made all the kings and princes fight each other, torn up treaties, and kept big armies. He had built beautiful palaces in Rome, and left a lot of money in the treasury. But when Peter asked about his mistakes, Julius admitted he had been sick with a disease from a prostitute, accused of favoring his children, and charged with taking bribes and doing bad things to young boys. When Peter asked if he was guilty, Julius didn't answer clearly. Peter was shocked to hear that a pope could do all these bad things and still keep his job. Julius told Peter that no one could remove a pope, no matter what he did wrong. He said that even if a pope committed murder, he couldn't be fired. Peter realized that the church protected its leaders, even if they were very bad people. Julius tried to argue that the world had changed since Peter's time. He said that Peter had been poor and had only a few followers, but Julius had made the church rich and powerful. He even threatened to excommunicate Peter, which means to kick him out of the church, but Peter wasn't impressed. He told Julius that he was a bad man who had made Rome forget about Jesus. He said that Julius had brought back the bad old days when Rome didn't believe in Christ. In the end, Peter refused to let Julius into heaven. He said that he would rather let anyone else in before someone as bad as Julius. Julius was furious and said he would take Peter's place by force, but Peter just waved him away, amazed that someone so evil could be called a pope just because of his title. This story was very popular when it was first written. People loved it because it showed that even powerful people like the Pope could be wrong, and that titles didn't make someone good. It made people think about what really matters in life, and what it means to be a good person. Erasmus, the writer, used humor to make people laugh and think at the same time. He showed that the church needed to change, and that everyone, even the Pope, should be held accountable for their actions. Erasmus didn't stop with this story. He wrote many other things that made people question the church. He talked about how priests were greedy, how they misused their power, and how they didn't follow the teachings of Jesus. He said that the church was more interested in money and power than in helping people. He encouraged people to read the Bible and think for themselves instead of just following what the church told them. Erasmus's writing was very important because it helped start a big movement called the Reformation. This movement changed the way people thought about religion and the church. It led to the creation of new churches that didn't agree with everything the Catholic Church taught. People started to believe that they could have a personal relationship with God without needing a priest or a pope to tell them what to do. Erasmus's ideas were so powerful that the church tried to stop him. They asked him to stop writing and to spend the rest of his life praying and being sorry for his sins. But it was too late. People were already talking about his ideas, and they couldn't be silenced. Today, we can still learn from Erasmus's story. It reminds us that titles and power don't make someone good. It teaches us to think for ourselves and to question things that don't seem right. It shows us that even the most powerful people can make mistakes, and that it's important to hold them accountable. Most importantly, it reminds us that being a good person is about how we treat others and how we live our lives, not about what titles we have or how much power we have. So, the next time you see someone who seems very important, remember the story of Julius and Saint Peter. Don't just assume that they are good because they have a fancy title or a lot of power. Look at their actions and their character. That's what really matters.